So, hey Aquarius, my name is Chris and this is your beautiful reading for whenever you find it, but it's kind of 2026 and there's one card already kind of coming out. That is the Three of Cups, and you know what is also coming out? The Sun card and, oh my god, the Nine of Cups. Are you kidding me? Three of Cups, Sun card, Nine of Cups, Aquarius. This is a beautiful reading, and I'm always looking forward for the Aquarius reading, even if I'm actually a Virgo. But the Aquarius reading, we have Pluto in Aquarius now, so the next 20 years, that's your time. And look at you, you're shining. I'm not doing a full-on Celtic cross or something, just 3 cards, maybe 4 or 5. Let's just do 2 more actually. 10 of Cups and the Moon card. Beautiful. Well, Aquarius, it's your time, right? It's your time. It's your year. It's your time. It's the next 20 years, actually, Pluto in Aquarius. So there's joy, there's happiness, there's the Sun, there's the Moon, there's the Three of Cups, there's the Nine of Cups. So first of all, these 2 aspects together are super important. This is your waking consciousness, your analytic, intellectual mind, right? Waking consciousness. Looking outward into the world. This is your consciousness, your subconsciousness, looking inward into higher, deeper realms of consciousness. And usually if we stuff something down into our subconsciousness, this energy gets blocked, right? So let's just say traumatization or whatever horrible stuff happens to us throughout a life of a human being. If we don't deal with it properly, we shove it down into our subconsciousness. We try to negate it. We try to shove it under the rug, right? And there it blocks the access to higher realms of consciousness. Nothing like this inside here. So you might have done quite a lot of shadow work. We're going to do some clarifiers. Maybe there is something coming up in that regard. But the Sun and the Moon is pretty much what esoteric is all about. Namely, to kind of overcome, transcend and integrate this border, right, between your waking consciousness and your subconsciousness. Therefore, broadening your horizon, broadening your consciousness, and taking out the trash of your subconsciousness, dealing with your traumas, dealing with guilt, fear, shame, your shadow aspects. Why? Because if you transcend and integrate it, if you heal it, if you deal with it, and if you keep the gates open through daily practice, daily meditation, daily breath work, all that energy, right, from higher realms of consciousness, from what Rupert Sheldrake, I think was his name, called the morphogenetic field. You know, we're all connected through consciousness because we're all an emanation of consciousness. That's at least the, let me think, pantheistic perspective, right? So, but you know, those in harmony, and the crown of the reading, that's kind of a little cross here, but not a big Celtic cross. There's a 10 of Cups, right? So you get the Three of Cups, a celebration, the 10 of Cups, a happy home, fortune after difficulty, and there's you, right? In your humble little mastership, in your humble little joyful being. You don't need to make a fuss about yourself. You don't need to wear a crown. You don't need a throne to sit on. You just have your talents and you do what you love and you love what you do. You're well dressed, right? You have a funny hat, right? And you're sitting there on your wooden chair. No crown, no throne, but happy. And that is beautiful. That's so much better than, you know, fighting, or being the King of Pentacles. That's pretty much the other side of this. You know, if you really go for the big bucks and recognition and external validation, you're wearing the crown, you're sitting on the throne. But you know what? The King of Pentacles also wears armor, right? This guy doesn't wear armor. Why? Because there's no fighting. It's just joy and happiness and contentment. And when I say fortune after difficulty, you know, you transcended and integrated your shadow aspects. You went down, maybe in the last 9 years, question mark, right? This is a new beginning. This is a start. 2026 is a fantastic year where if you did your homework, if you worked on yourself, if you did the empathic, self-loving Philautia thing to do, you went down into your consciousness, whether you liked it, whether you wanted it, whether you did it yourself or you were kind of kicked down there. You were confronted with shadow aspects and you dealt with them. And you came out back to the waking consciousness, right? Having integrated that. And that's where your 10 of Cups, your fortune of the difficult comes from. Full circle, what's coming next is happiness, contentment. Not grandiosity, not being something special, just being yourself. And let all that which is not you just fall away. And you don't need to prove anything. This guy doesn't need to prove anything. It's not the King of Pentacles. I say this again and again. That's kind of the card to which I always compare this. Let's just see there's the Page of Cups. There's the Destiny. Okay, let's just connect these, right? Page of Cups. Then we got the Wheel of Fortune, right? Connecting the Sun card to your 9 of Cups, which is pretty much yes. And it makes so much sense, right? It makes so much freaking sense. Look what used to be in your subconsciousness, the broken heart, right? Traumatization, narcissistic abuse, that's what there's the waking mind, that's the Sun card, right? And if it's too hard to deal with that, we shove it down here and don't want anything to do with it. And we look the other way and we kind of hide that subconscious part. But if we do that, in that subconscious part, there's always a darker force that takes care of that and works with that. So it's not solved, it's not healed if we just negate it. But if this is how it presents itself. It is pretty much you brought it up into your waking consciousness and dealt there with it, right? You dealt with it in your waking consciousness. And this is pretty much the healing process. And what we see here on the table is a successful healing process. The Three of Cups again. There's the World card at the bottom of the deck. So, and now you got the World in your hand. There is the 8. When I dig deeper, there is the 8 of Swords and the 9 of Wands. So you have, let's just think about 2025, right, for a moment. The year of hell, as I always say. That was the last horrible year of the dysfunctional old paradigm. This is the first year of the new paradigm, and you did your homework. And in 2026, I think, Aquarius, my friend, you're going to reap some rewards for your successful healing process. It just looks beautiful. So much Cups energy. The Page of Cups, 2 times the 3 of Cups, the 10 of Cups, the 9 of Cups, the Moon card, the Sun card, and yes, there's your trauma, there's your broken heart, whatever, narcissistic abuse, but connecting your subconscious to the conscious, to the waking conscious, and you finding your role through healing yourself, maybe wounded healer energies, right? And now you're standing on that tower, basically. The world is in your hand. You finished your project, your developmental cycle, most likely at least the last 9 years, 9 or 10 years. but it's bigger actually. There are so many circles closing in 2026 and at the same time opening new cycles and circles since the last 9 years. This is pretty much 10 years, so it is the closure of the old and the opening of the new. You can think about Pluto in Capricorn. That was since 2008, one big cycle, and there are so many more. Goes back hundreds, if not thousands of years, my friend. So big, 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 and so beautiful stuff here on the table. I do one Blue Angel Oracle deck card. Number 44, Eternity. The immortal presence. This life that projects you forward is also the eternal life that falls back within itself endlessly, time and time again. Your life unfolds within itself, is an endless cycle. The future is inside you, waiting to appear. It lives alongside this present moment. You will never have more or less than the present. All you are, all you have ever been, and all you ever will be is already here. It exists within you. This card reminds you to focus on the present, for here there's everything. The magic of creation is now. Do what you can with what you've got. Do what you can with what you've got right here, right now, right? And this is pretty much the energy of the Nine of Cups. Arriving in the here and now, using your talents and using them wisely and using them with compassion, not just altruistic compassion, that too, but also self-compassion, self-love, respecting your boundaries. And, you know, Nine of Cups, 10 of Cups. Connected with the Wheel of Fortune to the Sun card, to the entire spread here. In 2026, it looks like you're finding your role or your profession. And when I say profession, it's not just a job, but maybe it is what you are kind of destined to do. Wheel of Fortune and the Nine of Cups with the Sun card. And there is so much joy and happiness here. There are a lot of people supporting you, even if you not necessarily see them. They kind of gave you this idea, not idea, but I think they have a lot to do with your healing process. I don't know what that means for you. Take a deep dive, Swan Spirit. Okay, I don't know what this is all about. But let's find out. 60, okay. With their graceful long necks, swans are able to reach into the depths. When Swan Spirit arrives, you are called to take a deep dive beyond what is easily available on the surface. You may think you know what is best for you now, but take the plunge into the depths of your awareness, for there is knowledge you are not aware of and great treasures to discover. Deeper understanding awaits you, and a perspective that comes from greater self-knowledge is what you need right now to better understand a situation or relationship. As you come to know yourself more intimately, so too will you come to better know others. So Swan Spirit asks you to go beyond the surface of what is happening between you and others and resist the temptation to judge by superficial appearances. No, there is much deeper potential for loving connection, forgiveness, and mutual understanding. Choose to dive deep into your why. Asking the deeper question of yourself, you are led by the grace of Swan Spirit. What is your why? What are you passionate about, right? Do that and do it peaceful and do it joyful and do it with an open heart, right? Shadow work, there is successful shadow work on the table here, right? Swan Spirit reminds you that self-compassion, self-love, right? Healing your trauma, healing your reintegrating your unintegrated shadow aspects, whatever you're guilty about or feel ashamed or, afraid of, things like that. It's a constant work. And you might have done a few things in your life, right, that you're not proud of. Fear, guilt, shame, right? That's the shadow aspect. Or traumatization, that's like also a shadow aspect. And that traumatization might have led you to doing destructive things, right? Destructive behavior, whether it was directed outwards or directed inwards. But, unhealed subconscious trauma always expresses itself in destructiveness. So you heal that within yourself, right? And it's an ongoing process. Do meditation, do breath work every day. Keep that connection open to the subconsciousness so that everything stays clear and tidy and you're not, it's kind of a deeper pattern that we do. We shove things in the subconsciousness, but therefore we're blocking the access to higher realms of consciousness and inspiration and happiness. You healed that. You're getting something out of it. You're reconnecting with your destiny, with your passion, with that which is the highest expression of yourself. Cups energy, emotional. There's also connection, deep respect and deep love for yourself, which is the necessary precondition to love others, right? Receive and give love on the same level. Cups energy, happiness, staying a little under the radar, I would say. Not the King of Pentacles, the Nine of Cups. And daily meditation, daily breath work. And when you come out of a cycle, developmental cycle, where you learn to integrate shadow stuff from yourself, and you understand how that made you act in a not healthy way, not good for yourself, not good for others, you can more easily have compassion for other people who might act differently or, similarly destructive. But you might understand, okay, maybe there is something that they not yet have integrated, transcended, integrated with themselves. I know how that feels. I know how that expresses itself. So I can be compassionate towards these people. Why? Because I once was one of these people. So self-compassion is always translating into compassion for others because, we're in this together, right? So working on your own subconsciousness is not selfish. It is very, very necessary because you can only change and transform yourself. And in doing that, you're healing the collective, basically, the society. That's for someone out there. And maybe that has something to do with your gift to the world and your highest potential, your destiny. Your destiny is to be happy, and you're going to be happy by doing what you love and doing what you are really good at it. And it has everything to do with conscious, subconscious, shadow work and healing the inner core and allowing this inspiration to flow through you, right? That is the healing process that you went through successfully, and now you do it, you continue doing it, but kind of making it your job, your passion, your gift to the world, your highest expression, whatever you want to call it. But this is you're destined to do that, and you're starting it in 2026. Check out the yearly reading, check out the summer 2026 reading, might be super interesting for you. And share, like, subscribe, leave a comment, let me know what you think about it, and hopefully see you next time. Now, my friend. Ciao.